health-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, Black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any Black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
Level up, 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 level up. First things first.
Things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not too unserious. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First Black on Talk Radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DePrima go way back. Tag Smiley making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted Black and Brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DePrima. Go sis. First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DePrima. This show is called First Things First, and my first thing every day, giving thanks, giving praise, asking for blessings from the Most High, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and getting it going. We do have a lot to talk about. Hour one, we usually look local. Hour two, national, international, and beyond. In the third hour, we do a deep dive with a person or persons of interest. Sometimes a hot topic. Today we are on point with all of that, and it is also a Wealth Building Wednesday where we meet a Black, BIPOC, small or socially innovative business or program for businesses. We've got a very interesting one for you today. So, lots going on, and of course you are always invited in. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. You know, I woke up very prayerful this morning because it was 3 years ago today that my mama made her transition. And it's always sort of it's like a tug at your heart and you don't remember what it is. And then, oh yeah, mommy's angel anniversary. So rest in peace to Diane DePrima. And if you want to shake up your brain a little bit, read one of her poems today. I'm so pleased to have as my partner in politics today. She is a professor at Cal State LA. She's the lead organizer and co-founder of Black Lives Matter Grassroots, which is Black Lives Matter, and also BLM LA. Dr. Melina Abdullah, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. And honoring your mom today. Happy to say her name, Diane DePrima.
Thank you. Yeah, it's much appreciated. And it probably means I'll be extra feisty today in the spirit of my mama. It's funny because Dr. Melina Abdullah and I are both from the Bay Area. And I was thinking to myself, I saw somebody on Instagram being interviewed by Sway, and they were talking about, oh, he's the OG, and I love Sway. I know him from the Bay. I'm sure you do too. But I realized that I was the first person to interview Sway on the radio, on TV. So I guess that makes me the OG's OG. What? Talking smack already, and it's only 6:07.
Look, we were all gathered around watching Home Turf every weekend. So, yes, you are the OG.
If you're not from the Bay, Home Turf is a TV show You can find it online. I have Sheila E. hair and funny makeup, but it was a pioneering hip hop show for sure. So congratulations, Dr. Melina Abdullah. Good news coming out of yesterday's police commission. I mean, as much as it can be good news for somebody that we cannot bring back from the dead.
Yeah, it's so important that we celebrate our victories. Yesterday, the LA Police Commission, which meets every Tuesday, yesterday they considered the case of Keenan Anderson. And everyone remembers that Keenan Anderson was the 31-year-old Black father and teacher and fiance, engaged to be married, and just everything that we want our young Black men to be. Keenan Anderson was those things. And on January 3rd of this year, he was in a minor traffic collision on Lincoln and Venice and was pulled out of his car, wound up, engaging with LAPD, and winds up getting tased in the middle of that busy intersection, tased to death a total of 6 times to the back of his heart. As he's being tased, he's screaming out for help and actually speaks the words, "They're trying to George Floyd me." And they do George Floyd him. He dies. So immediately, we went into action, but so did LAPD, doing exactly what they do. The chief, LAPD Chief Michael Moore, begins to assassinate Keenan Anderson's character. They release his toxicology report that shows recreational drugs in his system, and they say that's the reason he died, and begin to blame him for his own death. And so we again begin to organize. Dominique, you were there when we had his first memorial on that corner. It was pouring down rain, and we had thousands of people in LA in the pouring down rain. Finally, we begin to organize politically and say police need to come out of traffic stops. And we do this all in partnership with Keenan Anderson's family, which includes Black Lives Matter co-founder, which I believe is what made it national news. Patrice Cullors is his cousin. And so we begin to demand police out of traffic stops, but also that the particular cops, 5 of them, who tased Keenan Anderson to death, be held accountable. So this is a long lead up to the fact that it took almost 10 months for this case to come before the LA Police Commission, which is the oversight body that is supposed to hold LAPD accountable, which they almost never do. They almost never find a killing out of policy. Well, yesterday, we filled up the commission room and we had a press conference with his family ahead of the police commission meeting. And finally, after hours and hours, after they kicked us out the room, after they threatened us with arrest, they did a closed policy conversation or closed door conversation and came back at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon and said that Keenan's murder, Keenan's killing was in fact out of policy. And that has almost never happened. The last one that I remember was back in 2019 when they ruled on the killing of Grishario Mack, who was killed inside the Crenshaw.
Right, when the cops opened fire in a mall, which, I mean, to rule that in policy, you're basically, guaranteeing chaos everywhere in LA. We can just shoot up malls. So that, I think that is an amazing victory. I do think has a lot to do with the way that folks have come out and the work that you guys have done. I remember what you were saying. I remember them saying, "Oh, he was on drugs," and it was showing the footage where he appeared to be having some kind of a mental health crisis as a way of discrediting him. But I also remember at the time, Chief Moore at least admitting that tasing someone 6 times for a long time each time was concerning. So that that's also rare. Because usually when LAPD does something, it's always, we can't talk about it because there's an ongoing investigation, except we're going to talk about it and, disparage the victim.
Yeah, that's right. That's what they normally do. Even more rare is that Chief Moore actually recommended out of policy rulings on all 5 counts. So, he recommended it. The police commission upheld it. This is just yesterday. So this is, on January 3rd, you see them release the toxicology, or they didn't release it on the 3rd, but they talk about, oh, well, he was acting erratically, and you hear this kind of justification. But yesterday, the recommendation, and we don't have the full report yet, but the recommendation of Chief Moore to the police commission was actually that the killing be ruled out of policy, all 5 elements of it be ruled out of policy. And then the police commission upheld that.
Yeah, it's definitely a victory. I think it is, a lot of it is attributable to the work you guys and others have done. And here's the thing, we can talk about this more when we come forward, but just to bring this up, it doesn't mean necessarily that there will be actually accountability on the part of those cops. That's always one of the most confusing things to me. Sometimes the police commission says, oh, that's out of policy, and the police department does not give any discipline to the cops. And then there have been those rare occasions where the police commission is like, oh, no, that's in policy, and the police department does mete out some punishment. So, it's confusing. There's no actual obligatory relationship between that, right? What the Board of Rights finds and what the punishment is and what the police commission finds.
Well, the police commission issues its ruling. I can bet that those officers will be fired because it's consistent with what the police chief recommended. But we unfortunately have a practice here in Los Angeles where those officers can then go to this Board of Rights that you're talking about and have that ruling overturned. In the case of Grishario Mack, where we got the ruling that we wanted, Ryan Lee, who was the shooter, has actually been retained and promoted to lieutenant after opening fire inside the Crenshaw Baldwin Hills Mall and stealing the life of Black father Grishario Mack.
Wow. And again, they can also, and often do, even if the firing does stand, they can go over to Torrance or a neighboring police department, a smaller one, and most of the time they will be hired.
Actually, not anymore.
Because of Bradford.
Because we passed the Kenneth Ross Jr. police decertification bill. So once they do this and are found to have acted out of policy, they're supposed to be decertified in the state of California and not be able to work anywhere in the state. Now, they can appeal it, but so far we've seen almost 50 officers, or more than 50 officers, actually be decertified and not be able to work after they commit harms against the community. So
are those done deals? Because my understanding was like it takes a while for it to work its way through the system of them actually being fully, decertified or not able to work anymore as cops.
It takes a while, just like it takes a while. Right. It takes about a year, between 6 months and a year. But, we've already, this hasn't been that long. And again, already more than 50 cops have been decertified as a result of this new bill that went into effect about a year ago.
And I think a year sounds long, but it's really not that long when you look at how long it takes for cases to go through police departments. As you pointed out, 10 months for this to come in before the police commission, and then all of the disciplinary process that may or may not happen after that. These things drag out. They take a year in investigating a lot of the time or more. So I guess a decertification within 6 months to a year actually isn't that long.
That's right. Of course, we'd love things to move more quickly. This should have moved more quickly, but we're grateful that it moved in the way that the family demanded, that I believe Keenan's spirit demanded, and that the people organized for. And that was one of the first things that Keenan's family said to us when we called them with the news, is first they said, oh my God, because everybody expected this to go the other way. Even Carl Douglas, who's
the attorney,
right. He didn't expect this to go the way that it did. And so first they said, oh my God, and then they said, this is because we organized. And so we're grateful to every single person, including every single listener who made calls, signed petitions. We had petitions signed by 100,000 people, right, who put pressure on the police commission and on the city to do the right thing in the name of Keenan Anderson.
And, when we come forward, I want to talk about how this does or does not move the ball forward in terms of getting cops out of stops, cops out of traffic stops. And we've got a couple more things I'd like to run by you, get updates on. Dr. Melina Abdullah is our guest. You're welcome in. 800, we had a pastor on here talking crazy about Black Lives Matter yesterday. Maybe we'll talk about that. 800-920-1580 if you want to join. 800-920-1580 is KBLA Talk 1580.
Dominique DePrima when we come forward. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
As veterans, we're no strangers to helping others.
That's what we were taught, service before self.
But we do have one question for the veterans listening.
When is the last time you reached out for help?
If you or someone you know needs resources, whether it's for stress, finances, employment, or mental health, don't wait. Reach out.
Find more information at va.gov/reach. That's va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
I was crossing the street when I met the love of my life. I chased after her. Nothing would stand in my way. Not the dog walker, nor the hot dog vendor. Finally reaching her, I asked, "What do you call that amazing smell?"
It's Gain Flings.
Gain Flings. My love had a name, but more importantly, it had a scent.
Fall in love with Gain Flings. Seriously good scent. Gain Flings with 50% more freshness ingredients versus leading bargain detergent.
On your period, sudden gushes happen without warning. But now, you can say goodbye to stand-up gush fears, thanks to Always Ultra Thins with rapid dry technology. It absorbs gushes 2 times faster than the leading store brand and gives you up to 100% leak-free protection. Hello, clean and comfortable with Always Fear No Gush.
According to the Black Women's Blueprint, approximately 60% of Black girls will experience sexual abuse by the time they are 18. In addition, Black women also comprise 25 to 33% of all sexual and domestic violence victims in the city of LA. On Saturday, October 28th, the hashtag Standing for Black Girls 4th Annual Community Action and Rally to End Rape Culture and Sexual Violence will be held at 4343 Lamert Boulevard from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. This survivor-focused event is designed to raise awareness about the disproportionate impact of sexual and domestic violence on Black girls and Black communities while calling for more mental health resources for survivors. Students, artists, organizers, teachers, and Black women entrepreneurs will take to the streets with the Women's Leadership Project, Young Women's Freedom Center, and other community partners. The coalition invites everyone who supports Black women, girls, and queer youth to come to this event. For more info, go to www.womensleadershipla.org. www.womensleadershipla.org.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DePrima right now.
Right now, we're talking to the host of This Is Not a Drill on KBLA, Saturday mornings at 8. Also, the mama of 3, Cal State LA professor and Black Lives Matter organizer, director of BLM Grassroots. So, will this move the ball? This ruling about the killing of Keenan Anderson, death by taser, death by traffic stop, is it changing the game as far as getting cops out of stops?
I believe so, and I believe all of the work leading up to it is also changing the game. In fact, on Sunday, the LA Times editorial board put out an editorial saying that police shouldn't be the ones to respond to minor traffic stops. And so, we think that we're changing people's minds, and once you change the people's mind, then they pressure those who actually make the rules. We also know earlier this year, the city council, Los Angeles City Council, passed or gave approval to a pilot project that removes police from other spaces they don't belong, like mental health, like domestic violence, those kinds of things. So we believe things are moving forward, and we believe that also what just happened yesterday will breathe new life into the motion that was introduced more than a year ago by former city council member Mike Bonin and current city council Marquise Harris Dawson that specifically looks at removing police from traffic stops. There's no reason that police should be there. I mean, if it were, the Department of Traffic or Transportation that was there after this collision, then Keenan Anderson might have been treated with care. If we had mental health resources that were not tied to police, then maybe Keenan Anderson would have been treated for the shock that often comes when you're in a traffic collision.
Yeah. Well, great points all. My understanding is that we have to, as of right now in California, sworn personnel have to do traffic stops. Has that been overturned or is that wrong?
Well, they have to give up their right to do traffic stops. So we can move things, and there's a lot of debate about how that happens, but they can move things. We also know that the police commission, the LA Police Commission, has authority over the internal policies of LAPD. So if LAPD stopped responding to minor traffic stops, there are no legal barriers to them stopping to responding to minor traffic stops. That opens up the way for other agencies to then respond. So they could choose to. It's very difficult to require that they do. And of course, any new policy would be challenged by organizations that we say are organized crime, like the LA Police Protective League, because once you start to shrink what police do, that means that you don't need as many of them in every place in the city, right? And so LA Police Protective League believes in expanding police. We say, at least start by reserving them for the places that they're needed, right? At least reserve them for violent crime. We don't need police responding to minor traffic. And anybody who's been in a collision knows that when they come, there's no reason for them to come. They don't come quickly. And, it's not really necessary.
Yeah, what do they do? What do they really do? It's great points, all. I feel hopeful that this is something that could be accomplished. I know that there's momentum in other cities as well. And especially given that, elected officials and police officials are always complaining that they don't have enough personnel. So then stop using them for things where we don't need them to be, the ones to do it. It's logical to me. So congrats on that. It is Wednesday. Speaking of police associations, that means you'll be downtown.
We'll be downtown, so you can come out. We want everybody to come out and celebrate this step forward with us. Of course, we'll be lifting up the name Keenan Anderson. We'll be downtown for protesting the LA Police Protective League, which is that police association that sometimes pretends to be a union. They are not a union because they're not on the side of working class people. We want everybody to come down today at 4 o'clock, 1313 West 8th Street, where we'll absolutely lift up Keenan Anderson and We'll also be calling for a ceasefire in occupied Palestine, the theme for this week. And we've been out for more than 140 weeks every Wednesday doing this protest. The theme for this week is ceasefire here and there, ceasefire in Palestine and ceasefire in Los Angeles. LAPD over the last couple of weeks has shot 3 more people, killing 1 more. So that means 19 folks have now been killed by LAPD so far this year.
Man, that's a lot of people. And so if you want to join, they can just show up, right? 1313 West 8th Street. Just show up at 4 o'clock. There's actually parking around there. I mean, you can find parking around there. It's not like some other parts of downtown where it's just a parking nightmare. So 1313 West 8th, they can just show up. You'll hear you'll hear the protest going on and just pull up.
Yep, literally pull up, because we take the blocks, so you can actually just leave your car if you want to. And then we got donuts. We got, cold water donuts actually do it for me. I'm thinking about that already. And you have really good energy. So we have, we talk about a lot, and we engage in an abolitionist way of doing things. So we do Radical Black Stretch led by Pastor Q. We're going to have good music. I think KO is going to be on the keyboard singing. And so it's going to be a good time, as well as some really important information. I don't know if listeners are aware, but when we talk about all these abuses by LAPD, many of them are actually trained by IDF, the Israeli Defense Force.
Yeah. The irony is not lost on us that, is specifically Cop City. That is meant to be the case. And we can talk about that after news, traffic, and sports. That is one of the pieces of work that you're doing through the Black Lives Matter grassroots organization. And again, for those who, have now become familiar with the fact that those platforms have been stolen, would remind you to follow BLM Grassroots on all platforms and building that line of communication back up. News, traffic, and sports, then more with Dr. Melina Abdullah on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominic DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. In California, 2 officers violated the Los Angeles Police Department's lethal force policy in their struggle with a black man who later died. The Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners made that ruling Tuesday following the death of Keenan Anderson this past January. While restraining Anderson in Venice, one officer used a taser on him multiple times. He died later at a hospital from what the Los Angeles County Medical Examiners ruled were the effects of an enlarged heart and cocaine use. Reported anti-Semitic incidents in the U.S. have spiked nearly 400% in the 2 weeks since the war broke out between Israel and the Palestinian militant group Hamas. That's according to the Anti-Defamation League, which tracks some 312 separate incidents. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Make your next lunch a lunch combo from Buffalo Wild Wings. Choose from wings, street tacos, and more. Head to Buffalo Wild Wings or order online at buffalowildwings.com at participating locations for a limited time, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Price and participation vary by location. Taxes extra. See menu for details.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man. The Denver Nuggets picked up where they left off last season, beating the Lakers. The Nuggets win by 12 last night in the NBA regular season opener for both teams. Nuggets center Nikola Jokic had a triple-double, 29 points, 13 rebounds, and 11 assists. By the way, Jokic is one of a record 125 international players opening the season on NBA rosters. The previous high was 121 in 2017. Another indication of how foreign players are making their mark in the NBA. LeBron James had 21 points. A very troubling stat for the Lakers. Anthony Davis was scoreless in the second half after finishing the first half with 17 points. He took only 5 shots in the second half, just 1 in the fourth quarter. The Clippers, they're at home tonight against Portland. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're celebrating 1 year of the K. From checking out the vibrant art and diverse dining in Lamert Park to cheering on your favorite team in Inglewood, you can choose your own adventure when you ride the Metro K-Line. Leave the car at home and go Metro. Visit metro.net/K-Line.
In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, children are the future. Here, tobacco companies are committed to higher education, offering scholarships to students who submit essays about the benefits of vaping. The tobacco industry even sponsors summer camps for kids. Don't worry, the tobacco-sponsored programs have been linked to leaving your kids more interested in smoking. In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, the world's deadliest industry is your child's friend.
See reality at undo.org.
The Green Foundation, key health influencer, empowering our Black communities through action. The Green Foundation advocates for affordable health care, accessibility, and knows the importance of culturally relatable health care. Regardless of income, we believe it is a right for optimum health. The Green Foundation has been at the forefront for 25 years, dedicated solely to promoting prevention through early detection, annual screenings, and nutrition. We know you because we are you. Our hand-holding approach supports you and your family to receive your right to be treated fairly and receiving quality healthcare services. We want you and your family to know COVID-19 was devastating to our families and to our wallet. We can build back better by understanding prevention, wearing your mask, washing your hands, social distancing, and understanding the impact of long COVID. Get the care you deserve. Take advantage of your privileges. Contact us, info@thegreenfoundation.net. info@thegreenfoundation.net.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look. And unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event. Or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Only 1 in 5 people with autism are employed, despite many having the skill set and desire to work.
Maybe it's because employers don't know what kind of jobs they can do. Like, what about a programmer?
That's a job for someone with autism.
How about a healthcare worker?
Yep, that is too. People with autism can do a lot of different jobs, but often get overlooked due to outdated stigmas. Introducing WIN by Autism Speaks. We help businesses lead the way in inclusive hiring.
What about a ranch hand?
To learn more, go to autismspeaks.org/win.
At Susan G. Komen, we believe that ending breast cancer needs all of us working together. Because if you've just been diagnosed and don't know where to turn, we've got you. If you can't afford the treatment you need, we've got you. And if you are driven to honor the loved one you've just lost, we have a place for you here. Because of you, we're supporting those who need help today while tirelessly searching for tomorrow's cures. Visit Komen.org and be a part of our Susan G. Komen community today.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, thank you indeed. So I know that Melina Abdullah is with us, Dr. Melina Abdullah. She's the director of Black Lives Matter Grassroots. She's also a professor at Cal State LA, her day job, along with being a mama. Dr. Abdullah, I know that, Black Lives Matter Grassroots and BLM LA constantly have many different kinds of campaigns going on. You guys are doing the work. So one of those now, lately, I've heard a lot more is this No More, calling for the dismissal, the firing, or the resignation of LAPD Chief Michael Moore. Keeley was on Monday, and, I asked him the same thing I always ask you. Is there any police chief that would satisfy your requirements? And I thought his answer was interesting because it was more like it's not about whether that police chief satisfies the requirements. It's holding them accountable for what's happened on their watch. And so I don't know if you
right.
want to talk about that program of No More.
That's right. Well, of course, Baba Akili is absolutely right. So we essentially fired his predecessor, Chief Charlie Beck, and we're trying to remove Michael Moore because he continues to mislead LAPD into being the most murderous police department in the entire nation. You know, when we talk about 19 deaths so far this year at the hands of LAPD, you know, that is something that's not just shameful, but it's dangerous. It's dangerous when LAPD accounts for 8% of the shootings in the city. And so we have to say chalk from the top. We have to say that he's ultimately responsible. And when we do that, it sends a message to whoever his successor is that will hold you accountable too. And so that's the primary thing, is that we want to make sure that we hold Michael Moore accountable, and we say that there will be no more. This is a terrible status to hold. LAPD should not be the most murderous police department in the country. We should be more thoughtful as a city by investing in the things that our city actually needs. We know that we're also at the top of the list for housing insecurity. What if we settled it by making sure that we removed it? Would just take a third of the police budget to house everyone in the entire city of Los Angeles, providing them with permanent housing, and that's at market rate, that we could house everybody in the city with just a third of the LAPD budget. What would that do for the safety of the city? So when we say no more, it's really about investing in the things that make LA safe and removing those who mislead the police department, removing the one who misleads the police department into being the most murderous. And so we do say no more, and listeners can sign a petition to that effect at tinyurl.com/more, MOORE, must go. tinyurl.com/more must go.
All right, I have a treat for you. Treat is in air quotes, Dr. Melina Abdullah. I want to play you because, you know, it was a Talking Point Tuesday yesterday, and maybe every other week or once a month, as much as I can tolerate, I have one of my conservative guests on a Talking Point Tuesday, and this pastor spontaneously decided to go in on Black Lives Matter with some familiar talking points. So let's play a tiny, tiny shrapnel of that and let you respond.
But check this out. See, we're here to talk about issues like Black Lives Matter, that they got rich off everybody's community. I'm talking about Black Lives Matter, who rioted with George Floyd. I'm talking about all the millions of dollars that was taken in and not one penny was ever put back into the black
so you're
community.
talking about the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation. That's what you're talking about.
Whatever that they did, they got rich. That's
so you don't know what you're talking about because you said whatever they did.
No. They only choose certain issues.
The proof is in the pudding. So you think?
So, I mean, we just got used and abused with the migrants that came here. That they're finding resources for them, but they couldn't find resources for black people. We're talking about everything in Chicago. We're talking about the homosexuals in the schools. We're talking about the migrants who are here inundating our city and burning our resources up. We're talking about no economic development in the black community, and we got black leadership. We're talking about things that we need to be talking about because nobody is addressing the issues.
Yeah, I was like that for 30 minutes. But what do you want to say? I mean, I hear talking points that I hear from the far right, and I know you don't debate folks like that. And Baba Keeley had a shirt on Monday that said, "Don't talk or have conversations with people that Harriet would have shot." That said, I think now some of those talking points are leaking over to news organizations, if you can call the New York Post a news organization.
Right. So I think they all probably get in a room and determine what they're going to say. He must not have been in that study session because he was just throwing everything at the wall. I will address some of the things which I'm grateful that you know enough, because you do research, that the accusations were at the hands of the BLM Global Network Foundation, who we sued and are now on appeal with, right? So those folks did not do the right thing with your money or your platforms. But Black Lives Matter grassroots continues to do the work in the streets. So that's an important distinction to make. And it's important that listeners follow BLM grassroots so they can see the real work that's moving on the ground that we're doing every single day. So yesterday we won a victory here in Los Angeles. On Monday we were in Houston, Texas, fighting in the name of Jalen Randall, another Black father who's killed by Houston PD. We're doing work to end qualified immunity. That's what Black Lives Matter grassroots is doing. And so it's important that people understand that distinction and support BLM grassroots by following us and staying plugged in with our work. The other thing, though, that he raised is he talked about Black economic development, because I'm trying to pull out things that I agree on. He's right. We need more infrastructure and support for Black-owned businesses. And so that's why every single year for the last 9 years, we've engaged in something called Black Xmas. I know we're only in October, but we're almost there for real. Like, we're only a month away from Black Friday. And so Black Xmas is about harnessing our resources and being intentional about how we use them. And we say that this is a time from Black Friday to January where all of us should be building Black, buying Black, and banking Black. And so if people believe in, really kind of thinking about cooperative economics and making Black dollars go further and using them for the benefit of Black people, we encourage them to plug in with Black Xmas. And everything that we do with that campaign is online at blackxmas.org, including we highlight a Black-owned business every single day. And in Los Angeles, we name all of the Black organizations that you can give to and use to support communities. So those are the things that I can pull out from what he said. The rest was some crap, and we encourage him.
I was just like, wait, what? My head's exploding. But you're right. That was interesting because some of what he said was correct, and it was mixed in with such terrible, just made up stuff that makes it really unwieldy. I also will say that from my perspective, you talk about the concrete victories, and there are many that you can just draw a straight line, but there are so many victories in terms of the increased hiring of Black people on upper levels of companies and on boards, allocations, budget allocations changing, inclusion of Black people, in every space as artists, as performers, and even policy legislation like Measure R, like Measure J in Los Angeles. To me, those are attributable to the Black Lives Matter movement, to Black Lives Matter, the organizations, and to the anti-racist wave, which was set off by the work of BLM. So you can't say done nothing and only, I don't mean to say only, but I just broaden it out from straightforward things like, okay, we rallied, and then Jackie Lacey was not the DA anymore. I think there are broader societal things that continue to be impacted right now, and a raising of consciousness as well.
That's right. I mean, if people remember pre-2013, remember when we used to have to hide what we need is Black people under the banner of people of color? Like, it was considered the first year of Black Lives Matter, or 2 or 3, we had to fight for the right to say Black, right? That Black people need this. We always, before that, were kind of pushed into this idea that you can only talk about Blackness under the larger banner of people of color. So when we used to say Black Lives Matter, people used to push back and say all lives. Now, pretty much everybody accepts that it's okay to say Black. We also pushed people to recognize that you don't have to just swallow the world as it's been given to you.
Yeah.
We have a right and a sacred duty to fight for what we need for ourselves and for our future generations.
And I would argue even the concept of systemic racism, when you say that, people look at you like you are, some way out fringe person. And now it's pretty much accepted, other than by the far, far, far conservative extremists, that systemic racism is a thing.
That's right. And even things like the first bill that we ever co-sponsored was a Black Studies, was an ethnic studies bill, right? So infusing ethnic studies into our curriculum as part of our work, remembering that our work also includes removing police from schools and putting in instead resources like the Black Student Achievement Plan, which every Black parent in LAUSD can admit that we've benefited from. I personally benefit greatly from the Black Student Achievement Plan. So there's so much that we've done that includes, both direct lines, as you call them, as well as planting seeds and empowering other movements that people have picked up and run with.
Yeah. Later in the third hour of the show, we'll have Laura Ball and Dr. Donald Singleton. Speaking of Black studies and Black history, we'll go there for our final hour. When we come forward, though, we will take your phone calls and more with Dr. Melina Abdullah on KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Maisha Cairo here with a quick recap from my time at JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. There were speakers Ian Dunlap, Damon John, Lynn Richardson, MC Light, Don Kennedy, to name a few. Take a listen to what Justin Grant, Community Development Lead at Chase's Advancing Black Pathway, let's see what he had to say.
So I'm Justin Grant. I lead community development and national partnerships for JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Pathway strategy. And so we're focused on strengthening the economic foundation of Black communities, and we're making targeted investments in programs like the Advancing Black Wealth Tour to help us get our tools and resources out to the community to drive sustained impact over time.
So when it comes to Black and brown people, it sounds like Chase is making it their personal responsibility not only to facilitate these events, but to educate and provide resources. So Mr. Grant, I have to ask, what does wealth building look like for the individual?
It's home ownership, it's having that freedom to be able to start your own business and create jobs in your community, and it's having that long-term plan towards retirement, having that vision for what you want your life to be, and you have the resources to actually live it.
I'm Maisha Cairo. Thanks for sticking around. That was my recap from Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. First stop was here in LA, and they're taking it national.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. If you're a dad who is facing divorce, there are extra layers of stress that may include stereotypes and assumptions. No two situations are the same. Our legal experience and dedication prepare us for whatever legal challenges we face together. You need a partner you can count on. For more than 30 years, Cordell & Cordell has represented men in divorce.
1455 Frazee Road, Suite 500, San Diego, California, 92108. Online at CordellCordell.com.
You're all set with your Medicare prescriptions, Mrs. Brown.
This is not just low-cost copays at Walgreens.
I can actually help you set up 90-day refills if you want.
This is having a partner you can trust. Get low-cost copays, 90-day refills, and delivery from your neighborhood Walgreens. This is being independent. Together. Walgreens.
Restrictions apply. For details, see walgreens.com/pharmacy.
Happy birthday, Metro K-Line. Whether traveling for business or pleasure, it's time you made today a K-Line day. The K-Line can connect you with fun, food, friends, and family from Crenshaw to Inglewood in one safe, clean, comfortable ride. Take the K-Line today and experience the diversity that makes LA such a great place to live, work, and play. Make it a K-Line day. Go Metro. Visit metro.net/K-Line.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Dr. Melina's on my phone. Dr. Melina Abdullah. Listen to her Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock right here on KBLA Talk 1580, as well as on Facebook. And don't forget to sign up for BLM Grassroots and BLM LA on all the social media platforms. Let's go to Ronnie calling us from Orange County. Hi, Ronnie.
Hi, Dominique. I promised to take a breath so we can have a radio discussion. I would like to end with Zionism, but first and foremost, I want to tip my hat to Dr. Abdullah and to you, Dominique DePrima, for the fact that, like you said to me on the radio one time, Dominique, you're with Team Winnie of South Africa. Coretta Scott King. Yeah, you remember that one because, anyway, I only got so much time. Bottom line, Dr. Abdullah, I fight out here in Orange County, and on another radio program, Dominique, I called her up and I had distress in my voice, and I said, how do we swing Orange County to blue? Well, forget all the back talk. Dominique said organize. So I shut my mouth and I didn't call for 3 years. And now we got Katie Porter, which is the linchpin. And I don't believe she should be allowed to leave her position. They're told at their jobs, we can't promote you because you're the best person at this position right now. So I take the breath there. If there's any background or comment.
Well, now you're asking Dr. Abdullah to put on her political scientist hat, which I think is great. You know, if Katie Porter leaves the seat while she's running for Senate, then it will be hard to keep that seat from going Republican. And, of course, we have a crowded race for senator.
Right. Well, I'm Team Barbara Lee, so we hope that you can implore Katie Porter to stay in Congress and that we can elect Barbara Lee, who has been just a warrior for us for many, many years, to U.S. Senate. We know that we also have the wonderful LaFonza Butler, who's in for the remainder of the term after Feinstein died. So we have two Black women who I think are really important to have there in U.S. Senate. I also want to lift up that what we have in a Barbara Lee is someone, as you talked about Zionism, or you said the word. Barbara Lee is one of just a handful of members of Congress who are standing up and calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. And she's done this consistently, said, you know, we have to end wars that are really based on enriching rich folks, that are really based on expanding a new form of manifest destiny that they call Zionism. And so she's been doing this work to say that, again, we need to invest in our people and stop funding. The U.S. funds this war, is funding Israel to the tune of, even before October 7th, was funding Israel to the tune of tens of millions of dollars, and is now writing a blank check, or Joe Biden is proposing a blank check of up to $100 billion. And that's an amount of money that I can't even fathom what else we could do that.
Talking with Dr. Melina Abdullah, and thank you, Ronnie, for the question. When we come forward, we'll squeeze whatever we can out of the last few minutes before we lose Dr. Melina Abdullah at the top of the hour. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Anyone can choose to make a difference. You can help people succeed, rebuild after disasters, protect the environment, or feed the hungry. Not only will you make a difference for others, but for yourself. You can earn money for college, learn career skills, and make friendships that last a lifetime. Make a difference. Choose your future. Choose America.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right. Y'all gotta try that Febreze car. Just right, just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistent scent. All over Breeze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face. When it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
You do, and time flies when you're on the radio. Dr. Melina, Abdullah, and I could talk all day. There's so much to cover, but I want to make sure that I just hand you back the mic for these couple minutes here and let you close out how you see fit, Dr. Melina, Abdullah.
Sure. So I started to summon Tupac into the space and just remind folks what he said. They got money for wars but can't feed the poor. Poverty is on purpose. You know, the kind of creation of systems that doesn't fund housing, that refuses to fund after-school programs is a policy decision. We can make different decisions. I think the victory that we won yesterday in the name of Keenan Anderson opens up a way. We can say, let's remove police from traffic stops. Let's remove police from mental health. And let's invest in having the people who actually have expertise in these areas. Let's invest in them. That's the work of Black Lives Matter. We invite everybody to join us, lift up those demands today at 4 o'clock at 1313 West 8th Street. That's today, 4 o'clock, 1313 West 8th Street. One of our calls to action will be asking you to call your member of Congress. We have a convenient tool for you to call or email them and say we want to cease fire in Gaza, that those human beings, Palestinian human beings, have a right to their life. And the violence in Gaza means that we are not spending those billions of dollars on what we need here in the U.S. When the U.S. backs this war, they're taking money out of our mouths, out of our hands. And so we need to make that demand. And then, of course, we want everybody to follow Black Lives Matter Grassroots. More BLM Grassroots on all social media. BLMLA is on X, it's BLMLA, and on Instagram, it's BLM Los Angeles. And tune in to This Is Not a Drill on Thursday at 8 a.m. We'll have the cousin of Keenan Anderson, Patrice Cullors, along with his attorney, Carl Douglas.
Saturday at 8 a.m. And, of course, Melina, when you called Tupac into the space, I got chills because you were friends with Tupac back in the Bay, and so was I. So I think he's smiling to see the two of us stirring the pot this morning. He's somewhere smiling.
Absolutely, absolutely. Long live the spirit.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Melina Abdullah. It's always great to talk with you. 8 a.m. Saturday, This Is Not a Drill. And, of course, follow them on all social media platforms. I'm Dominique DePrima. We've got Wealth Building Wednesday, and then it's time for you to call me on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. In California, 2 officers violated the Los Angeles Police Department's lethal force policy in their struggle with a black man who later died. The Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners made that ruling Tuesday following the death of Keenan Anderson this past January. While restraining Anderson in Venice, one officer used a taser on him multiple times. He died later at a hospital